Greetings and salutations.
Hey guys, I'm Sam. This is After the Bars. I don't even know if I'm going to call it the Late Night Mayhem Show. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Hockey Canada scandal, and I'm going to bring on Mac. You guys all know from Surviving Together, but tonight she's going to be in the role of Law Ninja. It's another one of her channels, and hopefully we can post the link. Not hopefully, I will make sure that the link is posted in the chat and in the description for her channel called The Law Ninja. It's just a channel that she's just dedicating to talking about different cases, you know, dockets, trials, things like that. I don't know how much momentum she's got going yet with it, but we're trying to jumpstart that here tonight and with previous legal, you know, cases that her and I have talked about. It's always fun with Mac. I'm super excited she's here. And I will be right back, and we'll bring Mac on, and we'll get this show started. Hello. I'm feeling kind of froggy tonight. I was tired a couple minutes ago, but now I'm feeling froggy. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. Let's bring Mac on so she doesn't get bored and just signed off and, you know, send me an evil mean text. Not that you've ever done that, or if it's even in your nature to do that.
You're more like falling asleep backstage or something like that. But
yeah. That's really what I was worried about, you falling asleep.
I was like comfy chair.
Yeah.
No, actually tonight, I mean, normally I will be doing this with you from my legal channel. Tonight I'm doing from Surviving Together for two reasons. One, just because of the subject matter a little bit, but two, I've got like 100 hours I need to get to monetization there. So I'm like, okay, any other thing I can do on the channel, I'm just like pumping it up. So normally I will be coming through as the Law Ninja here, but just Surviving Together tonight for that. So
well, I would have, man, if I would have thought about it, we could have just done it just from your channel, and I would have done a community post. And I mean, we can always encourage, you know, if you're on with After the Bars, if you can go sign on to Surviving Together's and just watch the live tonight from there. That would be sweet.
That, or, you know, I've got some playlists too. You can just, you know, pull the playlist and let them run overnight, or, you know, just do it the easy way if you want.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah.
Either way.
Ben Bacon Bits says, "Who's your daddy?" You're my daddy, Ben. You're my daddy. Daddy Ben. Daddy Ben. Did you see it when I had him on? I just said, man, come on, man. Come on. We'll talk about music. He's so cool, man.
That's I haven't done anything with them, but I love Ben thinks very scientific like I do on things. So I'm definitely down to talking with him sometime for that.
Yeah. He's so scientific.
I don't know. He's got such a mind, but yeah, he's got this other
Yeah.
part to him. Like music is. I mean, I like music and stuff, but I can't talk music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally outside my realm.
Well, I'm gonna leave his who's your daddy comment up all night.
Okay.
Sorry. Man, well, we got a lot to talk about. I guess I better do a trigger warning. I need to put one in the description too after the show. Just to I sometimes I say just a slight trigger warning. No, it's always a serious trigger warning. We're going to be talking about SA, um, the culture of SA in sports, and specifically in this case hockey, up in Canada. The kind of the history, a little bit of the history that I want to talk about. I mean, who knows where the conversation will go, but yeah, it's crazy. And so, yeah. Do you have anything you want to say before I play the clip? Like maybe introduce it a little bit, or not introduce it, but I'll just play the clip. So guys, what I'm going to play is from a channel called, what's it called again? The Fifth Estate. Yeah, really good channel. I'm so glad you hit me to that. Yeah, I don't know if you know that you hit me to that channel. They do really, really good reports, like I guess deep dives. I guess they are deep dives.
Yeah, that and a lot of different subjects, and everyone that I've watched, I've been impressed with. I mean, they obviously, this is a serious news place.
Yeah.
This isn't just some YouTube channel.
It's definitely not. Yeah, just some channel. So there's a hockey culture in Canada, of course. I mean, we know, hockey is a huge sport in Canada, but there's a culture from when the young men become men and go from, and I can't remember what they call it, but it's is the organization called Hockey Canada?
Yeah. The overriding organization over all of the youth.
Yeah. There's a lot of hazing. There's a lot of culture with some coaches encourage the sex. I don't know if I'm not going to say they encourage SA, but they definitely encourage sow your oats, I guess. And some coaches have participated, some coaches have abused these guys. And so we're going to play a little bit about this, and this is part 1 of 2. We're basically just going to talk a little bit about the case, and it might organically move into what's kind of going on now, and that, but we're just going to talk about like what happened, a little bit about the culture that's happening in Canada, and I guess it promises to be a pretty good show. I think I don't know if I can say that about ourselves, but it's gonna be the best show you've ever seen because Mac and I are doing it. Mackinac Island and I.
Crystal says, and I trust Crystal's a Canadian, and she says the Fifth Estate is more investigative journalism.
Yeah.
So it must be well known in Canada then.
Oh, okay.
It was
cool.
Something that I had just stumbled upon when I was originally looking this stuff up.
Yeah, that's really good. So I'm gonna bring it up, and I think I'm gonna make us a little bigger. I guess I do got to remove that comment. Damn it. Just so we can be bigger.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could move us up a little bit. I could move us over here.
You can put us anywhere.
Yeah. No, it's not going to work. Okay. I was playing with this comment. Here's the clip, guys. It's going to just kind of talk a little bit about, what happened, how it started, and what's going on. I guess I'll just play from the beginning.
This story contains graphic content, including references to sexual assault.
That you guys
Viewer discretion is advised.
I can hear it.
On this edition of the Fifth Estate,
it's a World Junior win in Buffalo.
For over half a century, Hockey Canada was a source of Canadian pride. Protector of our national sport, winning world championships and Olympic gold for our men and women alike. But in recent years, behind the scenes, something went terribly wrong.
It seems to me that Hockey Canada gave a masterclass in what not to do in these kinds of situations.
It's one of the worst cases of governance I've seen in the last 25 or 30 years.
And now the Minister of Sport has had enough.
I think this is a breaking point for hockey. I really feel like hockey, as it is in danger.
It's the Canadian scandal that won't go away.
Mr. Smith? Police say they have reasonable grounds to believe that 5 members of the 2018 junior hockey committed sexual assault in that hotel room that night.
I'm Bob McEwen in Toronto. On our first episode of The Fifth Estate this season, we reported on shocking allegations of a group sexual assault in London, Ontario, by some of the Team Canada hockey players who'd won the 2018 World Junior Championship. The question we asked then was, how could this happen? Well, now there are other questions. What did Hockey Canada know about a pattern of alleged group rape in Canadian junior hockey? What did they do about it? And why did it take so long to hold them accountable? This is The Fifth Estate. The story starts here, at Jack's Pub in London in June 2018. When members of Canada's national junior team arrived to celebrate after a Hockey Canada fundraiser. Jack's is London's go-to place for cheap drinks and a dance floor packed with late teens and 20-somethings. And what's alleged to have happened next would trigger a national scandal, a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and a crisis unlike any that hockey has known. The plaintiff in the case is a female in her 20s. EM, she's called in court documents. The defendants are Hockey Canada and 8 of its players, known as John Does 1 through 8.
So originally it was 8.
In our original episode,
so was the settlement eight guys? Do you know?
I'm not sure if they included all 8 with the for the settlement. I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information on that because I don't know that all the details were made public with it. But the criminal charges were ended up being brought against only 5 of them.
Okay, cool.
Through legal documents, interviews, and text messages to and from some of those involved, we pieced together a glimpse of what allegedly unfolded that night. The statement of claim is in EM's words. She alleges John Doe number 1 and his teammates bought her a number of alcoholic beverages and shots. She became increasingly intoxicated throughout the night, with glassy eyes, slurred speech, stumbling, and loss of balance. And recently, there's something else.
A couple of months ago now, I got a tip that what's called an ITO had been filed with the London courthouse.
ITO is short for Information to Obtain, essentially a police application for a search warrant. Investigative reporter Robin Doolittle of the Globe and Mail learned about an ITO that laid out what police believe happened that night in 2018.
What's really significant about this document is it's the first time we've got a sense of what happened that night from the player's perspective.
According to that document, in addition to the hockey players, there was someone else at the bar that night who was also buying rounds for the players and EM.
His initials are MM, and he's said to have been buying drinks for the players, and he encouraged her at one point, go take care of him, referring to one of the players.
MM could be seen in photos posted on Jack's Facebook page, but removed after we used them in our original story. As described by EM, he was older and apparently in a hockey-related profession. Do you know more now?
He's a senior employee at Nike Canada. I think there's a lot of questions. This is a person who was there in this moment with all of these players and EM at the bar.
There's no suggestion that MM had anything to do with what happened after EM and player number 1 left the bar that night. It's agreed that on the evening in question they left together, then had consensual sex in his hotel room. It's what happened next that's in dispute.
From EM's perspective, when they are done, he is on his phone and she, assumes he is texting. And shortly after, 2 players arrive. And she goes to the bathroom and comes back out, and there are, she says, as many as 8 players in the room at this point. One of the text messages basically says the player texted his team and says, "Does anyone want," and then it says sex act, and a player responds, "Yes," and that there's a woman in my room who is interested in sexual activity.
But what EM describes in that moment is something quite different. In her statement to the police, she says what happened to her in that hotel room was premeditated, violent, and degrading.
She describes in her statement with police that they're instructing her to get on the floor, that she didn't want to be on the floor, that they put a sheet down, and that, yes, the players were all discussing her and what they were wanting to do or doing, but not speaking to her.
They also slapped her on the behind to the point that it caused her pain, and she told them to stop. I mean, it sounds like a very coercive and abusive experience that she was subjected to.
We asked law professor Melanie Randall of Western University in London, an expert on sexual assault, to interpret EM's version of events.
It makes sense that in a situation like that, when you feel under threat, when you feel stressed, when you feel that the threat of violation is imminent, that you would just try to get through it.
And the documents shed more light on what police say EM was thinking while in the room, first with John Doe, or player number 1, then with his teammates as well.
What was interesting is in the document, she talks about the size of the hotel room. She discusses many times feeling like she can't get to the door safely, that it's being blocked. And the size of the hotel room, I think, with these players in it, is going to be important to provide the context.
And there's a reference to the written statement EM later gave to police. According to the officer, she said, "I didn't want to do what they were making me do." She also described trying to leave on multiple occasions and that the exit to the unit was blocked. She described crying. She explained that she needed to retreat to the bathroom to get away on multiple occasions. She was unable to say no. Throughout the encounter, she felt disassociated from everything.
Imagine being a young woman in a crowded hotel room with a group of strapping young men who are athletes, who are much bigger. The general public don't understand. They just think, why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you say no? Why didn't you get the hell out of there? She described why she didn't. It was a very stressful, very frightening experience that should never have happened.
I can't think of one person that I know that would be like, "Oh, you should have fought or tried to get out of there." That's asinine that anyone would think that.
It's so common though, and you'll find this amongst not only other men, but you'll find it amongst women too, who don't understand or have never been in any sort of situation like that, where they haven't, just spoken up for themselves. It's difficult to understand unless you're put in that type of position. Think of a standard hotel room, as they're showing with like the 2 queen beds. And then you have 8 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old young men in there who are in their prime, athletes in their prime, right? you've got 8 of them in there. Even the strongest person, I think, would feel boxed in. And she was admittedly drunk when she went and had the initial consensual engagement with the first player. I mean, she's always maintained that. She said, listen, I was drunk, but I went with him and I was okay with it. I was okay with going with the first guy. And, we had sex. I went to the bathroom to clean myself up, and I came out, and he was, texting other players. And shortly thereafter, a few, 2 more people came, and then more people, and then more people. So she's never made bones about it, but she's also never said that, at any point did I really sober up. This was a long evening, but she had been pretty drunk when she left. And, again, it's, like that older guy just buying drinks for the person with Nike Canada, just saying, hey, why don't you go take care of them? And it's kind of the groupie mentality. And they very much expect that there are, groupies around these hockey players as well. And that some of their positions or roles, I guess, would be as one of those is to take care of them however they need. It's just, and it's not, and she's never said anything like, that's what I thought my role was or anything. It's just, no, I was having fun. And I decided to sleep with this one guy, but just the one, just like, that's the only one that I consented to. So.
Yeah. And here's the deal too. Like I've been drunk and have had sex, but by the time you're done, you're not really that drunk anymore. I mean, unless you're completely trashed and you just don't remember even, do you know what I mean? Like alcohol wears off. And not that they had sex for very long. I'm sure it wasn't that long. I mean, you know what I mean? He's a kid, and,
right.
Drunk, I mean, maybe because he was drunk, it might have lasted. But anyways, I can't imagine how drunk she still would have been. And she was just probably scared.
Well, yeah. Regardless of the alcohol, all the other feelings take over. So, it's so common that she describes, being disassociated, because there's this point where you're one girl, you're not 100% sober. And even if you were 100% sober, I mean, she was a nice looking thin girl from my understanding. These guys had, pounds and pounds and pounds on her. And you just are like, okay, I just get through this. Whatever it is that they're asking me, I'll do it. And that's not true consent. And that's what some people don't understand, is just because you seem to willingly go along with it, you're not consenting. And I think it's very important that they say they were discussing what they wanted her to do and do to them, but nobody was actually asking her, do you want to do this? Nobody was getting consent from her. Right. And again, that's just a power thing. It shows to an entitlement.
Yep. I'm going to play just a little bit more of it just to, I don't know when I'm going to stop. I'm not going to play the whole thing. And then, I want to talk about where the case went from the very first. And then, so I'll play a little bit more.
And there also were the so-called consent videos taken of EM by player number 1 that night. TSN senior reporter Rick Westhead, who first broke this story, is one of few who...
I just want to make sure everyone heard what was just said. This gentleman's going to talk about videos that the players made with her that night, getting her consent, which is suspect in itself, right? I've never done that ever in my life, asked a girl to like, hey, that was consensual. Well, I mean, I guess I was in my 30s when cell phones came out, but, but you know, I would have had to have had, not that this is a funny matter, but I would have had to have one of those big VHS, you know, video things. Hey, this is consensual, right? I mean, I just can't. Even now, like, I just can't imagine. But anyways, I'll play this. Please just stop me, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I've seen the videos. The videos you were shown. Describe them, please.
Well, one of the videos was about 6 seconds in length. It was very grainy. It was clear that it had been shot on a cell phone. And the video showed a woman, and she was being asked if it was okay, and she said, it's okay.
Yeah, like a hostage
and that was
video.
it.
Yeah.
ASAP.
And then the second video was longer, and it was about 12 seconds long, and it looked as if it was in a hotel room. And the woman was shown sort of from here up with a bath towel around her, and asked someone if she was being filmed, and if so, why she was being filmed, and said that everything was fine, and that she was, and this was her words, she was too sober to do this right now.
I think for me, why are they filming these videos is a big question that people had when those stories came out in the summer.
Yeah.
And
Too sober.
Right, because what they were asking her probably to do was just beyond imaginable for her. That she probably just said, like, I'm not drunk enough for this. You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I love what this reporter is saying right now, and I haven't heard everything she said, but like, this might even be more proof for her. You know what I mean? Like, that you would even think you would need to make that or force her to make it. And like ASAP Lizzie said, you know, it's a hostage video, you know?
Oh, you could, you know, Ben says I'll lay odds more than one of them had troubling stuff in their past. And when we start talking about Hockey Canada and the fact that they've done these settlements before and stuff, I mean, I guarantee there's been something that came down through the ranks that said, hey guys, come on, if you're going to be doing this, you got to give proof that it was okay, you know, like,
yeah,
you know, that it came down, and so like, okay, we'll get proof. We'll film that it's okay. I mean, because otherwise, who does that?
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Player one's interview, he says to the London police, he took this because he was worried about a police investigation. That's what the ITO claims, that he told officers this.
Professor Randall says there are many aspects to this case that concern her.
What we know of EM's account, there was no communication between some of those players and her to determine if, in fact, she was consenting.
According to the court document, player number 2, player number 1's roommate, also engaged in sexual activity with EM. Yet apparently he never spoke to her. Journalist Robin Doolittle asks, how then could she give her consent for sex?
I think the fact that it's included in the ITO is important. That it to me, it indicates that the police think it's important as well. I think it is certainly interesting from a perspective of if you're a Crown attorney and you're saying to player 2, how did you ascertain that EM was consenting if you did not speak to her? I think that's a question that he may have to ask, or he may have to answer at some point.
It's a concern that they would take at face value that one of their friends and colleagues could possibly offer consent on behalf of someone else.
She's a strong and smart young lady. You know, there's a lot of trauma-induced response that happens when you're coming out of something like that.
London lawyer Rob Tulloch specializes in cases of sexual abuse and assault. He was retained by the family after EM's mother heard her daughter at home that morning, weeping in the shower. The court document describes that scene too. EM was found by her mother, CM, in the shower, with the water running, seated, clasping her knees and rocking back and forth.
You know, the thing that got me the most, of course, was the mother recounting coming across her daughter in the shower the next morning. And I have 2 little girls, and you just like, that's your nightmare. No matter whether what happened to her rose to the level of criminality or not, that's a horrible moment for her and for her mother. That whether this was sexual assault or not, she is feeling destroyed about this moment.
That same day, EM's mother contacted London police, and EM's stepfather got in touch with Hockey Canada, which also called the police. And the day after, one of the players texted EM.
The text messages started when a player asked her if she'd gone to the police. And then over the course of at least a day, there's a back and forth where the player is encouraging this woman to go to the police and say, this was consensual, I don't want to go any further with this.
The Fifth Estate has obtained a copy of that exchange of texts. Did you go to the police after Sunday? The player wrote. I talked to my mom about it, and she called, I think, but I told her not to. I don't want anything bad to come of it, so I told her to stop, the woman wrote. You said you were having fun, the player wrote. I was really drunk, didn't feel good about it at all after. But I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I know I was in the wrong too, the woman wrote. I was okay with going home with you. It was everyone else afterwards that I wasn't expecting. I just felt like I was being made fun of and taken advantage of, the woman wrote. I understand that you're embarrassed about what happened, but you need to talk to your mother right now and straighten things out with the police before this goes too far. This is a serious matter that she is misrepresenting and could have significant implications for a lot of people, including you, the player wrote.
What the hell does that mean?
One time he says, tell your mother. Basically, to shut up, to get out of this, because it could have consequences for a lot of people, including you.
Yeah, I think, there's no overt threat in those text messages, but I really took issue with the comment that this could have a lot of consequences for a lot of people, and then it ends with including you.
I think if you take everything in context, if you read all of that, it definitely seems like a teenager trying to placate, she's going, no, I was okay with you. It's everybody else I didn't want. And I felt like they were just making fun of me and degrading me and embarrassing me, which they were. I mean, let's come down to it. And that
totally
this is not something that I was, okay. This wasn't something that I was okay with, but I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Let's just, I'll try and do my part to not, make waves or whatever. And that's just a very placating behavior. And to me, anybody and I know that the defense attorneys have latched on to that a lot and have been trying to prove that, see, this shows that she lied about reporting it.
Yeah. Yeah. It really sounds like something like one of my daughters would say, one of my older daughters would say when they were teens with a boy that they really liked, and not even like regarding like a sex thing, but just like, if like one of their boyfriends did something. I can't even think of what another similar circumstance would be, but by
let's
like
say just drinking or drugs or something, got caught with weed or
but it was everything else. She's like still trying to like let him know, like, I'm really into you, and that just, oh man, as a dad, that fucking pisses me off so much, man, that she even feels like she even needs to be nice to this dude still. Like, I still, with you, it was cool, like she still, likes him or wants him to know that,
I was okay with you. I was not saying anything bad, but see, he's trying to protect not only himself, but everybody else as well. And she's just like, listen, I'm okay with you. It was everybody else. So, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. And he's like, yeah, but it's not just me. It's everybody else too. So, and that's why he has really been made the point person in terms of talking to her, so the texts do continue much, farther beyond this, as they're encouraging her to retract her statement and to tell the police that nothing happened, or that anything else, or that anything that happened was consensual, that there's no issue.
And this video is 2 years old. So I'm sure much more has come out. There's been 2 trials since then, basically. We're on the second one. So I'm up, I guess, play a little bit more of this. It's hard to find like a stopping point to talk about, because I haven't seen all of this one.
It does give a lot of good background information, and it is stuff that we're going to be talking about when we talk about the first trial and her testimony. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll play a little bit more of it.
They text each other over several hours until EM tells him she intends to withdraw her complaint. I appreciate that you're going to put an end to this. I know this must not be easy for you to have to call the police and say this was a mistake. Have you thought about what you're going to say to them? The player wrote. Then, hey, just wondering what's happening. Told them I'm not going to pursue it any farther and that it was a mistake. You should be good now, so hopefully nothing more comes of it. Sorry again for the misunderstanding, the woman wrote. I appreciate you telling the truth. Thank you, all the best, the player wrote. But in fact, by the end of that week, EM had made an official complaint to the London Police Service.
By that Friday, she's being interviewed by a detective. She's off to hospital to do a rape kit. She, days later, provides her clothes she wore that evening into evidence. She meets with the officers and speaks with them a number of times over that summer of 2018.
After the break, it was unquestionably a low point for Canadian hockey, but it was far from unique.
I think it's impossible for anyone being honest with themselves to not acknowledge that there is a problem with the hockey culture.
January 2003, the World Junior Hockey Tournament in Canada, this time in Nova Scotia.
And they won't do it for the second year in a row.
The Canadians would win the silver medal a decade and a half before their gold of 2018. But in 2003 in Halifax, in another hotel room, it's alleged that another young woman was about to encounter elite Canadian junior hockey players. Again, Rick Westhead, senior correspondent for TSN, got a tip.
Well, the allegations around 2003 are horrible. I've talked with 3 people who have seen video of what was recorded in 2003. I've not seen the video myself, but what they have independently described to me is, half dozen players sexually assaulting a woman who was not conscious in a room.
What's your reaction that...
Ashley Burke of CBC News spoke with a witness who described what he says he saw on a video taken in that Halifax hotel. It is eerily similar to the statement of claim of what EM says happened in 2018.
Can you just walk me through in detail what you saw in this video?
I seen a hockey player of the 2003 World Junior team, a Canadian player, take a video camera and turn it towards himself and say, "This is going to be a lamb roast."
In junior hockey, the term lamb roast is slang for a sexual act involving a woman and multiple players.
And then him and another player proceeded into a hotel room where there was 5 or 6 naked players all masturbating, with one person having sex with a girl on a bed who seemed extremely intoxicated.
Canada's Sport Minister Pascale Saint-Onge says even if shocked by this, she wasn't necessarily surprised.
You know, I'm a woman. I have a lot of empathy and for the alleged victims, for the survivors. I can't imagine what they went through. As a minister, you know, first of all, I felt a huge responsibility to be one of those people that stand up and say that this is not okay. I think it's impossible for anyone being honest with themselves that to not acknowledge that there is a problem with the hockey culture.
I've attempted to answer that as honest as I can.
Proud of her for
In
saying
Ottawa,
that.
at hearings of the Parliamentary Heritage Committee, the questioning turned to Hockey Canada's sexual assault problems.
We're here, look,
I'd like each of the commissioners
white man.
Yeah.
And these are all the people answering, and they just evade.
Yeah. And like what blows me away too is that like where are these guys' dad? Like all the fathers, I mean, but I know some of the fathers were part of that culture too previous, because I seen another thing where one of the dads who's now has been, you know, born again and saved and just talking about it, it goes from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I don't know, it's crazy.
3 leagues
Well,
to
also
answer
when
this
you've
next
got
question.
a
It's a 3-part.
coach and your other players, even if you have a parent, if you've got a coach and your other players who are all, you know, within this culture and all, you know, I'll say shoving it down your throat, but definitely cultivating and, you know, allowing this sort of thing. And then when you think of that, a lot of these kids at this elite level, they get sent away. So kind of like with gymnastics, you know, so they're living with other people's families. They're not living with their own families as they're chasing these higher echelon hockey, you know, avenues. And so they're not even around their own parents. And, you know, so I think a lot of it depends on whatever culture then that they're, you know, living in and while they're away as well. So
yeah, man.
Our question: how many complaints were received? How many settlements were offered? And did the league advise Hockey Canada of the complaints?
3 of Hockey Canada's principal partners are the commissioners.
Simple questions.
Yeah.
Of the major junior hockey leagues, Western Ontario and Quebec.
Maybe we can start with the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League and Monsieur Courteau.
Au cours des 5 dernières années, on a eu 2 plaintes et aucune de ces plaintes ont été partagées à Hockey Canada.
According to Commissioner Dave Branch, the Ontario Hockey League sexual assault record for the previous 5 years was clean.
If I understand the question correctly, in the last 5 years, we've had no sexual assault claims.
And the Western Hockey League said it had no sexual assaults to report to Hockey Canada either.
Madam Chair, we've had 2 instances in the past 5 years. These matters were investigated by police and the players were suspended from our league. It was not reported to Hockey Canada.
In addition to what allegedly happened in 2003 and 2018, while doing research for this story, the Fifth Estate identified 13 other cases of alleged group sexual assault since 1989 by Canadian junior players, all reported in the press and investigated by police. They involved at least 43 juniors. 10 of the cases resulted in criminal charges, with 1 guilty plea. In all, there were 6 cases in Ontario, 3 in Quebec, 2 in Saskatchewan, and 1 each in Nova Scotia and BC. When we asked Hockey Canada if they knew or should have known about those 13 other cases, they would only tell us that they had forwarded any important information to police. And since our original story aired, we've learned about another allegation of group sexual assault in Quebec involving a 15-year-old girl. But whatever Hockey Canada knew about allegations of group sexual assault, Western University law prof Melanie Randall says it is not uncommon in Canada for police to miss or to misunderstand the basics of a sexual assault investigation, like the one in London.
And it really seems to be what's happened here.
What's that?
It really seems to be what happened here, in terms of the police. You know, they had the victim conflicting, saying yes, then trying to retract, and then when pushed a little further was like, okay, yeah, no, the retraction is just not really true or whatever, and it goes through with everything. But based on the fact that there was even some hesitancy on her part, and that she wasn't, you know, beaten and bruised and battered, and they just said they closed it in 2019, and they said, you know, we just don't find enough evidence to arrest anybody, or to pursue the investigation. I don't say to arrest, to pursue the investigation any further, and they just ended up closing it.
Right. And then what made them reopen it and bring charges against these guys?
The media attention. So Hockey Canada ended up settling the case. A civil case was brought because you've got 2 years after. I looked up the statute stuff. There is no criminal statute of limitations for these cases. There's a 2-year civil case. So there was a civil case brought. Hockey Canada was sued amongst others, and they settled with the victim, and that became big news, and people latched onto that. And then they ended up reopening it in 2021, I think, is when it was
they
again.
Yeah, EM filed civil 2022 lawsuit, parliamentary hearings, Hockey Canada leadership resignations. Oh, there were some parliamentary hearings, and then Hockey Canada leadership resigns in 2022, later in the year, and then London police reopened the criminal case.
2022, okay.
Yeah, 2022. Reopened the criminal case. Charges filed against 5 players: Michael Millau, Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Cal Foot, and Alex Fermenton. And then the trials are starting now. You know, the new trials start in late May. And I want to say too, and what I like researched, since 1989, Hockey Canada has paid out $9 million in settlements. $9 million in settlements.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that that's probably a fraction of what should have been paid out.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, not this, you know, how can you even put a price on it? But I mean, I get it. I mean, settlements are there to make things right, you know, but I know, like, you know, spiritually and mentally and physically it doesn't, but it's good to make them pay and make it sting a little bit. But, you know, another thing I read, you know, they use, you know, all these hockey players pay fees, like these like dues to, and that's what they use to pay these settlements off, or the, you know,
it was one of the funds.
Yeah,
it was one of the funds that came. Yeah, and I think that with the settlements, it's because of the difficulty of the cases actually getting criminal charges, right? And that's not to say that somebody who is successful in having criminal charges, you know, will or won't decide to bring, you know, civil charges. But especially I feel that when the criminal avenue has been shut down on you, it's like it's the only way that you have to hopefully get information out there as to that something happened, and have a record that something happened. So it's not about the money. It's not about trying to get, you know, a settlement or anything, but it's about being able to say on some sort of record, hey, this happened.
Yeah. And I mean, I would, if I was a Canadian, and I would want all these young men that are like, 14, 15, 16 coming up, knowing that like, look, there's consequences for, doing what these guys do. So when it comes up, I would want my son to like stop it, whistle blow it, shout it from the rooftops, but I mean, it's easier said than done when you're part of a team, and man, it's really a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, because think about, this being like a small town Texas football team or something, and the players can do no wrong. I mean, really, this is, how it is. And these kids have dreams, especially if they're on travel teams and if they're going places, and if they're really good, they don't want to ruin their chances of not being chosen for a team or not getting the ice time that they feel like they need. And Blue Bayou makes a comment here. It just says $9 million from the fees that parents were paying for kids to play hockey. People were pissed, and I can only imagine. And this is part of the uproar that happened, right? Is because the reporting that was going on was unearthing these settlements and saying, look at what's been happening, guys. So yeah, you pay your fee for your kid to play hockey, and this is part of the fund it's going the fund that it's going into, and Hockey Canada is using it to pay their settlements of players that are being accused of SA. And so it just I'm 100% convinced, without the media frenzy that happened because of this, without the congressional hearings that were done as part of this, that this wouldn't have been reopened.
Right. Do you think just because of the of what's happening like in America too, that's affecting like people feeling safe, or like I don't know, you know what I mean? Just like the citizens like really like wanting answers.
I think
I don't know.
I think across the board, it's within North America. No, but I will say within North America, because everybody's different. I won't say Western world. I'll say within North America, the strides that we have made forth from a trauma-informed avenue, from educating police officers, educating lawyers, educating first responders, having people understand what happens in a traumatic situation more, whether it's a sexual assault or some other form of trauma, but particularly with what happens with sexual assault victims, understanding that there isn't going to be necessarily this linear, progression of remembering things, right? That your mind can skip places. And so treating people with respect, really, treating suspected victims with respect and with kid gloves, and with an understanding that they've been through something. And as we've seen that progress, really, especially in the last 10 years, there's been a lot more focus on training for these people who are on the front lines with dealing with victims. I think that's certainly been part of it. And as you see, you've got a minister who's willing to put herself on the front line. Now tell me, that minister of sports who was on there, the lady with the heavy French accent, tell me if that wasn't some old white guy who was like 6 years old, who had grown up playing hockey himself, would he necessarily have been willing to put himself on the line like that and say, listen, I don't think that we can ignore the fact that there is this culture amongst hockey players. It would take guts. I don't know if they would or if they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think it's fortunate that they had her,
though,
that they had her in place.
Yep. Do you want to watch a little bit more of this one? I haven't seen all of it. It's kind of long.
That, or you could switch to the the Why the Police Apologized.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
let's
other
do
one I
that.
sent you. Yeah, that's less than 10 minutes.
The one I'm going to play now, it's called Hockey Canada Sexual Assault Case. Why Police Apologized About That. Yeah, I haven't seen this one at all. So I'm kind of excited. Let me just add that.
That have rocked Canada and the hockey world for years. After years of speculation, police have confirmed details about allegations that have rocked Canada and the hockey world for years.
We have found sufficient grounds to charge 5 adult males with sexual assault.
Then, 10 minutes into that press conference, came this.
I want to extend, on behalf of the London Police Service, my sincerest apology to the victim, to her family, for the amount of time that it has taken to reach this point.
Here's why this press conference was as much a police update as it was an apology, and what we learned about one of the most high-profile sexual assault cases in this country.
Did any of these kids go play
This should not
NHL?
take this long.
I
It shouldn't
think one
take years
did.
and years
I think Carrie Hart
for us, to arrive to the outcome of today.
5.5 years, to be exact, because the investigation started back in 2018.
It's a World Junior win in Buffalo.
A few months after that gold medal win, the sport's national governing body, Hockey Canada, hosted a celebratory gala for that World Juniors team in London, Ontario. It's what allegedly happened that night that is the root of this whole story, though none of the allegations have been tested in court.
When the event was over, members of the team continued the celebration and some attended Jack's, a bar in downtown London. In the early morning hours of June 19, 2018, the victim attended the Delta London Armories Hotel with one of the accused.
She says at the time she was visibly drunk and was stumbling and slurring her speech. So she made a note of that in her statement of claim.
And according to her, had consensual sexual contact with him, but that, in that hotel room after that had happened, he had invited other players to come into that room, and that after that had happened, she, over the span of hours, said she was sexually assaulted by a number of players, for a long period of time.
She alleged in her statement that the defendants inflicted pain and suffering, mental suffering and humiliation and degradation upon her. Police say the alleged assault was reported to them later that morning, and an investigation was immediately opened. And then, months later, in February 2019, it was closed.
It was determined by investigators at that time that there were insufficient grounds to lay a charge. This decision led to the case being closed.
In the spring of 2022, TSN investigative reporter Rick Westhead made the allegations public, reporting that Hockey Canada had settled a $3.5 million lawsuit in connection to the same incident.
Wow.
Hockey Canada settled that very quietly within a month, which is a very quick settlement, using money from a fund that included registration fees of children across Canada.
And that sort of sparked a firestorm of outcry and scrutiny about the way in which Hockey Canada handled those sexual assault allegations.
In May of 2022, Hockey Canada put out a statement saying that, to their knowledge, the victim had not cooperated with police. But shortly after, in an exclusive interview with the Globe and Mail, she came forward to dispute that.
And her lawyer says that's absolutely not the case and provided, a series of examples that she made it clear that she wanted to pursue charges.
And London police confirmed that in their press conference.
I would like to make it clear that the victim in this matter has fully participated in this investigation from the time it was initially reported to police until today.
It's important to note that Hockey Canada corrected that original statement a month later, but headlines persisted, digging into who knew what when, whether police or Hockey Canada actually talked to any of the accused players, and why both of their original investigations were closed so quickly.
Hockey Canada's senior leadership dragged onto the Parliament Hill carpet to explain how and why they settled a $3.5 million lawsuit.
It is profoundly disturbing to me to see that in a case of a serious sexual assault, that it's unclear what the follow-up was.
After months of scrutiny from media and people across the country, London police reopened their investigation.
None of this would have happened had it not come out in the media, which is very, very regrettable because it shows that the justice system that was in place did not work for this victim.
Hence the apology.
Why do you believe the public should have any faith in London police to carry out this investigation?
Well, I'll tell you that the investigation was reviewed in 2022. And because of that review, we are here today.
It's impossible right now to know exactly what shifted for London police. We now know a review of the case was initiated, police say, in July of 2022. What that review found exactly, police wouldn't answer those questions, focusing instead on the reopening of the case.
When the case was reopened in 2022, our team explored investigative opportunities in addition to the 2018 investigation. Those leads were followed, additional witnesses were spoken to, and we collected more evidence. I can confirm that some of this evidence was not available when the investigation concluded in 2019. This is one investigation, not two.
What evidence they are referring to there, or what new information they received, how or when, again, they wouldn't say.
You mentioned that some of the evidence in the initial investigation wasn't available. Do you mean available or uncovered at the time?
Everyone wants answers, but I cannot compromise the investigation by providing specific details.
I think it's interesting that
It's uncovered.
I mean, it has to be uncovered. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it's. I think it's apropos too that they have a female spokesperson, commenting on all this to kind of like soften the blow a little bit. I mean, which is, what I would
some of
do.
not all the people who were alleged to have been there were even interviewed the first time around.
Oh, wow.
So from my understanding, if anybody knows anything more, please definitely correct me if anybody discovers anything that's contrary to anything Sammy or I say. But yeah, that's my understanding, is that it was not a very thorough investigation the first time around.
Said that there was new evidence, so there are reasonable probable grounds. They didn't have them back in 2018 when they did the first investigation. Could be because they obtained warrants to get access to cell phones or emails, or it could be some of the other individuals. They finally, gave a statement.
We do know from court documents and reporting by the Globe and Mail that there were allegedly text messages exchanged between the victim and the defendants, and at least 2 video clips taken that night. This morning, during their first court appearance, lawyers for all 5 players were told to expect a hard drive with a substantial amount of evidence, including audio and video files.
Time fogs the memory. So the video, depending on what it shows, may be an important piece to the puzzle, whether it's for the Crown or for the defense.
We have found sufficient grounds to charge 5 adult males with sexual assault.
The 5 men charged, Cal Foote, Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, and Alex Formanton, were part of that 2018 World Junior team. Each of their lawyers has said they will plead not guilty. All players except Formanton are under contract with NHL teams until the end of this season on paid leave. One of the accused, Michael McLeod, also faces an additional charge of sexual assault for, quote, being a party to the offense.
The one charge he was laid with is in relation to his own actions, and the party to the offense charge is in relation to aiding someone else in committing the offense.
So what is the
behavior that would have involved aiding.
I can't disclose any details about that because the case is before the courts.
All of the lawyers we've spoken to believe the 5 men will likely be tried as a group, but their verdicts will be individual. Another big question police wouldn't definitively answer is whether further charges for anyone else could be coming.
In previous police filings, there is a belief that there was more than just these 5 individuals allegedly in the room. Are other players from the 2018 Hockey Canada team cooperating with your investigation? And do you believe that there could be charges of other individuals as a result of your investigation?
Thank you for the question. We have laid charges for all the charges that we have reasonable grounds for, and we've had varying levels of participation in the investigation, but I won't provide specifics about who cooperated and who didn't.
As for Hockey Canada, they put out this statement today. Hockey Canada has cooperated fully with the London Police Service throughout its investigation, and we are committed to continuing to support the legal process.
People have been talking about this in Parliament, in coffee shops, in hockey arenas across the country. Everyone seems to have an opinion. They're on one side or the other. Lawyers are reminding us, of course, that the players are presumed innocent until proven guilty, and that hasn't happened. This is the very, very beginning of what's expected to be a long process.
A long process, and what's been, from the chief's own admission, too long already.
Can you tell us today who bears the responsibility for that delay?
Listen, that's a great question, and it's a question that everybody wants to know. And right now, I cannot answer that question. It will truly compromise the curtain process. There's a time and there's a place.
The next court appearance will be on April 30th.
Super crazy. Hold on, I'm trying to get us back to, there we go. Well,
so 5 of the 8 were eventually brought up on charges, and those are the 5 who are still currently on trial right now.
Yeah. And those, man, that's crazy that all those guys went to the NHL.
It just shows you the level of the caliber of skill at that level. You know, most people are expected to go on if you're playing junior A or, junior AA.
I can't remember who said it in the chat, but they must be from Canada. Like said that, these guys are gods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Crystal was talking about it.
They must be, because they're like, that's a pretty high percentage of just, some guys that were called up to a hotel room from a hockey team to all be in the NHL. That's pretty
well, this was the junior world team. So this was was Canada's the top of the top, right? So they played USA. I think they had their win in Buffalo, and so they were playing the US at that point in time. So it was the juniors against the juniors types of thing.
Yeah.
And they, this is the top of their tops of that age group. And they eventually started. So 2022, I think charges were brought initially at the end of 23 or beginning of 24, something like that. And in April of this year, the first trial started. And that lasted several days before they ended up having a mistrial. So they hadn't gotten very far in it, which is why the judge at the time agreed to go ahead and have a mistrial at that point in time. And it was on some alleged misconduct with misconduct is the word, but oh shoot,
was it transporting jurors? Was that it? Like something was said while transporting a juror. I might be
was
confusing.
It
another
was
case.
oh shoot. The I know the second incident. For some reason I'm blanking on.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the reason for the first one.
Dead air.
I think this is the one where the defense attorney and the juror bumped into each other in the food line.
Yes, that's what it was.
So it was outside the court. Yeah, so it was outside the court. Yeah, it was this one. So it was outside the courthouse, and there's only like one or two places, I guess, to go eat. And one of the jurors bumped into the defense attorney, was like in line, right? They didn't even really have a conversation, but the defense attorney says that they said something like, just, oh, I apologize for bumping into you, and just made some innocuous comment. The juror thought they said something about well, next up comes the evidence or something like that. And just I think they took it a little bit too seriously, to be honest with you. I mean, there's not supposed to be any conversation between the prosecutor and the defense and the jurors and whatnot. But come on, you're standing in line at the thing, and if they had said anything else, evidence is coming up next. Well, yeah, that is the next phase of the trial, because we've just had opening statements, so that it's still, I don't know. They thought they were trying to be intimidated or something like that. And they went back to the juror room and told all the other jurors about it. And so since they hadn't really gotten very far into testimony or anything, the judge decided that they would go ahead and have a mistrial. So they called the first mistrial and said, all right, let's try this again. So they try it again. And then a week and a half, I think, after the start of testimony, they EM, the victim in this case, had given all of her testimony. She was on trial, or she was on the trial stand for 7 or 9 days or something like that. Because you got to think, you've got 5 defendants, so you've got 5 defense attorneys that get a shot at her. Now think about how brutal it would be for a victim of a sexual assault to just even be before, in with one. And now you've got 4 more that are getting a shot at you as well. I give kudos to this woman, whoever she is, that she decided that yes, going through this was worth it for her. And she's got balls of steel. I'll tell you what, because 5 defense attorneys, that is just, that's something else.
Yeah, it'd be like 5 Alan Jacksons from the Karen Reed trial. No way.
Right. Picking apart every little thing that you said. And because, each of them then, of course, is for their guy, right? And so it's like, okay, you said this about this person, but what about my guy? What do you, and from
does the jury, can the jury say, yes, this one was guilty, this one wasn't, do they have to decide on that? It's not like all or nothing.
No. So they're all on trial individually. They're just trying them together. So they're all there together. If it ever,
I couldn't imagine seeing that jury form that they'll get after closing. All the things they have to check. That has got to be insanely confusing. Like if there's lesser charges, I don't know what if they charge them, or even how the French Canadian legal system works. But in America, there would be all kinds of lesser charges you can find them guilty of. And then, do you know what I mean? And then to have 5 separate players with all the different.
Well, it depends on what they charged them with and what they're authorizing, what the judge is allowing, if there are any lesser included for it. So McLeod is he's the one that they were saying that had been charged with aiding and abetting, and because he's the original, that's the guy she went with originally voluntarily to have sex with, and so basically charging him with coordinating, getting all the other players there, and saying, hey, I've got somebody who's here, who's up for it. Like he ever asked her, before he sent the text messages, because she's like, no, I went to the bathroom and he was texting, and I came back, and then there's can't come out, and there's more people here. So, so our next one, we can get into, all the testimony now that's been given. They have shown some footage from the hotel of her walking into the hotel, and people are like, well, you don't look very drunk. You're walking really well. Just because you see somebody walking across the lobby, and for that part of time, they're able to hold it together when they're in public or whatever, really that says whether you're drunk or not. So they've picked apart every piece that they possibly can of her testimony, and trying to show that she was consenting to all of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to, do you want to do that next Saturday?
Sure, we could do that.
Cool? Is
Yeah.
that cool? Yeah, that way, the people that are here now, there might be some viewers that are just available on the weekend. They can come for part 2 of this, topic of what we're talking about. And we'll get into what's happening now at the trial. I've seen a bunch of stuff, and it is super, and it's just really interesting, and the way that the courts work in Canada. And it's similar to ours, but still, even if it was here, this is an amazing case. And thank you for bringing it to my attention, because I live and die for this stuff. I don't like the subject matter, of course, as a father of 4 girls,
right.
My whole thing, the stepdad called, the hockey, whatever club, or, Hockey Canada, whatever it's called. I would have been calling dads. I would have been, oh my God, man. I get it. He doesn't have access to that information but I would have been like, where was he? You have his phone number? Fuck, dude, it would have been all bad for Hockey Canada that day.
Right.
There would have been funerals. For real, man. There'd have been funerals.
I definitely would have been on the coach. And it was, I don't know that they were actively involved in any hockey at that point in time too, because it was after a fundraiser gala for them. They had already won the Worlds. So I don't know if they even had any.
For some reason, I thought it was like the night of the big.
It wasn't the night of the win. It was like a month or 2 afterwards, and they were having this huge gala, basically in celebration of their win. And it was a fundraiser for Hockey Canada and for the team. And then it was that night. Yeah. So it wasn't the night of the win.
Yeah. Grace and Peace says cases in Canada have been in the courts for more than 15 years.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Grace and Peace. She said hello. It was nice to meet you earlier too.
Well, hello, Grace and Peace. Very nice to meet you too, B.
Yeah, definitely go check out her channel, Grace. She has 2, but her main one is right now is Surviving Together. It's an amazing channel.
Blue Bayou made the comment that there is not a jury anymore, which is correct. They were going to call a mistrial. That's where we wanted to bring you guys up to in regards to this case. So we'll do the actual evidence the next time. But yeah, the victim, they put on a few different pieces of evidence, and the victim had finished testifying, and then there was another incident between the jury speaking to a couple of different defense attorneys, one being the same one as in the first trial that was let go, interestingly enough. And they felt that they were being intimidated. This juror felt that they were being mocked from afar, that their outfits or how they spoke or something were being, their presence was being, it just kind of was interesting. It was like, it wasn't a very strong thing, but the jurors were feeling intimidated by some of the defense attorneys.
Here's the deal. None of those jurors want to be the jury that sends like one of these gods to prison, or you know, I wouldn't want to be. I'd be like, no, get me off this case somehow. And if it was, you know, who knows if, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I get that. I wouldn't want to be a part of it either, because for all the reasons, all the common sense reasons, you know, maybe my neighbor's a big hockey fan, or my family's are hockey, or maybe I'm a hockey fan and I don't want to, you know, guilty or not, but I would want to clean up the sport that I love if I was a hockey fan. So
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say, since being in the. I'm talking about like feeling the intimidation from somebody. You know, you can feel that across the courtroom, certainly, and you know, whether it's being directed at you or just directed at the jury in general. I can see, especially with, you know, you'll see we don't have video or anything from inside the courtroom, so you won't see any of the testimony here, but I can definitely see why some of them might feel intimidated by some of these defense attorneys. So instead of calling another mistrial, because they had a lot of testimony given, I think after the jury was let go, I think they only had, like, prosecution had like 1 or 2 more days of testimony that they ended up putting on. So they actually got all the defendants, because they would have had to agree to this, to have a judge only trial versus doing a mistrial. If the defendants had not agreed to this, the judge would have had no option but to call a mistrial.
Yeah.
But they were able to agree. So yes, the jury was dismissed. They're let go, and then they move forward with the judge only for the remainder of the trial. And it's still going on. Defendants have been placing on their evidence. So we'll see by next Saturday as to whether or not it wraps up or not. Originally, it was supposed to take 6 to 8 weeks, but the prosecution wrapped up a lot sooner than they thought that they were going to. So I'm not sure if there's been any analysis on that, whether they didn't put on as much as they were going to, or what the situation is. I don't know why that period was shortened.
Yeah, crazy.
But a couple of the players have, my understanding is at least 2 of the players have testified now, but there definitely was no intention on all 5 of them testifying. So we'll just have to see how much the different defendants end up putting on.
Yeah. I'm excited for next week. We'll also have a judgment in the Karen retrial by next Saturday. So,
oh, will we?
Yeah. The defense will rest probably by Tuesday. I'm guessing more like Thursday, but the defense is, they're going to finish cross-examination or recross probably on Monday of the ARCA guy they have on now, and then the main doctor from ARCA will testify last, and so that'll probably be a couple days, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing like on Thursday the jury will get it. There'll be closing arguments on Thursday.
How many people have they had from ARCA testify?
There'll just be two Just be
Oh,
two.
okay.
But there's a lot of math, a lot of physics, a lot of math, a lot of calculators are out. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's a sure win. I mean, they're already celebrating the Karen Reed team. I mean, they're not, but you know what I mean. They lightweight are. They're just jubilous. Is that the word I want to use?
Is the legal community, the commentators, are they pretty much on the side of Karen that, yeah, this is going to get,
Yep.
she's going to get it.
Yeah. But I found out some information too, that there's a lot of evidence, it was the FBI that brought on ARCA. And so they did release a lot of the investigation that the FBI did, but there's a lot of sealed information still that a grand jury is sitting with. And I assure you, that evidence, the stuff that they're sitting on is for Proctor, Brian Albert, the people that were in that house, Higgins. There's a lot of sealed investigative information that a grand jury is sitting on. And then I think that's all eventually going to get all the way to the courts. Yesterday with Jimena, I assured that, in the next 7 years that Judge Beverly will be in jail. I don't know. I think the buck will stop at somewhere, but it's gonna eventually get to Beverly, Canone, or whatever her name is. There's a lot of ex parte communication that's been obvious. And it'd be hard to prove probably, but the cover up is going to be insane. And it's going to be, I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the biggest cases of all time. It really is.
Interesting. Well, kind of like, there's always that case of the century or whatever. We had the OJ case, right? That was kind of, so now we're in the next phase. Which do you think the grand jury is going to end up? Do they have a case in front of them for Proctor or Albert or anybody? Do we know?
They absolutely do. No one knows for sure, but there's a lot of sealed information that a grand jury is sitting on it. And what the FBI investigated was the investigation of Karen Reed, and they're watching the same trial we are, and it's so painfully obvious that there's so many people lying.
Mm-hmm.
And aloof, Brian Albert, like, what? Brian Albert's like, he was like the head of some huge task force. You don't get to be the head of that task force by being a dummy.
Right. Right.
To like, well, what? I was asleep, man.
Yeah, his testimony was just like, he was just some shlomo who they pulled off the street type of thing. He's just like, I don't know what happened with my thing. I mean, you never would have thought that he was like this.
I don't know what that
police
means.
Detective.
Yeah. That was like, he was like the supervisor of all these guys, and man, it's just, who, and that worked with a lot of federal agencies. They're not going to put a dummy in as the head of that. And so I can't wait, man. We have so many cool things that are, over the coming years. I'm just excited to cover it. Or to talk about it. I'm not covering it like I'm like some major YouTuber, but
like every day. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not the primary focus. But what about so they're nothing to do with Proctor? None of that evidence is really gonna.
Not yet. Oh yeah, nope. They're not even gonna call Proctor, which is crazy to me. But
maybe they feel they have enough, and it's just a can of worms that it just kind of branches off into its own life of its own. And
yeah, I think they brought it. They brought in his text messages through another person that was in that text stream, and I guess that's all they felt they needed to do. But they sure talked about him a lot. You know, the prosecution and the defense. It's been really fun watching Brennan just be so angry with the ARCA guys. Like, you deleted your message. It's just nuts, man. It's nuts.
We'll have to see what happened with
oh man, it's
on
gonna
that.
be good. It's gonna be a good week.
Maybe we can cover closing arguments or something like that. When put up,
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be
like closing arguments.
Yeah, whatever night that falls on, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, let's count on that.
Bayou says closing arguments in the defense starts the 9th, and then the prosecutor closes. I'm thinking you mean in this case. So that's going to be Monday.
Oh, for this case?
Yeah. So closing arguments on Monday. It looks like. So yeah, Saturday it'll be a good chance to go over everything. We'll have had the closing arguments for this. Then it looks like they would have rested. May even have a depends. The jury, I would imagine, is going to be out for at least several days. So I don't think that we'll have a result by next Saturday, but we'll see.
Yeah. Ben Baconbit says that he needs a zebra cake. And there was another comment I wanted to. Zebra cakes are my favorite. That's why I just wanted to say that I've made myself sick on zebra cakes before. Crystal M also said earlier, exactly, Grace, as it has to go through a number of levels of court, final judgment on a lot of issues, unless they went straight to court of King's Bench. I should have got my brother really knows, because did they run it like French law? Is it similar? Sounds really European.
Well, no, it's based on the UK, because this is in Ontario. It's not in Montreal or anything. It's not in Quebec.
Oh, okay.
Even so, I don't think that they're I don't think French law maybe locally covers a little bit of stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's just still UK Commonwealth.
Oh, okay. What do I know?
I'm just looking over some of the comments too, and I'm trying to. So I'm not sure exactly which. I'm not sure if closing arguments, if they were talking about in this case or the Karen Reed trial. But it's got to be this case, the 9th. That would have to be, because you said there's still testimony going on in Karen Reed.
Yeah, they're going to finish recross on Monday with the doctor that's on there now. I forgot, his name escapes me. And then there's one more that's going to be that's going to be, closing out the defense's case. So that'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, or it'll be Monday, Tuesday, and possibly Wednesday. So maybe closing arguments be a Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd be surprised even if we had closing arguments. With closing arguments starting this week, I would be surprised that we would have a
verdict.
That the judge would have a verdict, because since we don't have a jury, it's just the judge. Which, I mean, in general, they come back a little quicker, but I would still be surprised that they would have a verdict by Saturday. So we'll see.
Are you talking about Canada?
I'm talking about the hockey player trial.
Okay.
Since it's judge only, the jury doesn't have to deliberate, but still, I mean, the judge is going to want to still take her time. Blue Bayou
she's not going to be like, oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Not guilty.
Yeah. Right.
Next. No, yeah, she will definitely take her time.
Yes,
she will definitely take her time.
Blue Bayou was just saying Canada follows common law, except Quebec, which is based on civil law. So yeah, Quebec, being French Canadian, their laws must be slightly different. But
I love this
just
community. Like, that's what I say in my intro, man. Smartest audience in the world. Yeah, you guys are so smart. You make me look so good.
Now
Except when I'm talking so feminine.
Little Debbie or Hostess
Little
or something
Debbie.
makes zebra cakes?
Little Debbie. Yeah.
Oh, it's Little Debbie. Okay.
Little Deb.
The Nutter.
Yeah. The Nutty Bars or the
Nutty Bars. Yes. I was going Nutter Butters, which those two, but those are like
Oh,
Nabisco.
I smash Nutter Butters. My favorite cookie, like if I was to like say I just want one cookie for the rest of my life. Well, I should is the Biscoff, the ones you get on Delta Airlines, but you can buy them also in the store.
The gingerbread ones? Or
They're
the
they're not
shortbread?
gingerbread, but they look like little gingerbread because
They're very thin.
Yes. I'll sit down with a whole big package and just smash them in one sitting, especially if I have a cup of coffee. Oh, it's over with.
That would be, yeah. I'm like that with shortbread too.
Yeah.
Some good butter shortbread.
Yeah.
Really good shortbread. You can't get through a whole ton of it until your stomach has just turned to a stone because it's just so heavy.
That's funny.
But yes, I would go into a diabetic coma, I swear.
Hold
But
on real quick.
Nutter Butters are probably, they have to. I'm a peanut butter nut, and so but Nutter Butters,
Yes,
those
me
would
too.
definitely be one of the cookies that would have to. I mean, a good chocolate
Butters
chip
are
is hard to go by, but can you imagine if they made chocolate chip Nutter Butters?
Yeah, because that would almost be like a Reese's Nutter Butter.
That'd be pretty damn
It's
good,
making
wouldn't
me
it?
gleek right now. I'm like, my mouth is filling up with saliva. I mean, I
Seriously, I know.
love Nutter Butters. I love the way they melt in your mouth, kind of. The cookie just melts in your mouth. Hazley wants to say hi.
Hello, Hazley.
She's been making lots of appearances lately, huh?
Yes.
She laughs.
How are you doing, Missy?
Really good. Me and my mom just helped. Well, I was taking a bath, and my mom was
She redid your room.
helping cleaning my room.
Ooh, is it
But
all
she
nice and
still
clean?
Yes, but there's one thing that she missed that I think she's doing when she gets back from my grandma's house.
The shelves.
No, she has to.
Why are you so mad at me all the time?
She has to clean the fish tank.
Oh, that's right. You're so
Oh.
mad at me all the time.
What kind of fish do you have?
Don't me on that. What kind of fish do you have?
We have a beta.
Nice. What color
It's
is
the
your
only
beta?
thing we can keep alive. Yeah.
It's been the longest time I've ever kept a fish in my life. They usually die in like one day.
Yeah, it's true.
We would have these goldfish that we would get from the fair. There was a Catholic
Yeah,
school.
one time
That's what started it all.
See?
Was the fair.
when I was 3 years old, we got a fish from the fair and it died in the car.
Ooh.
So Dad had to go
must be
buy
a
a fish
record.
tank. Yeah, and a bunch of fish, and they just all died same day.
Yes.
I must have spent $300 on fish and fish tanks, and then within 2 weeks, that fish tank ended up in the garage.
Oh
And
yes.
sat there, and we don't have that house no more. But the I don't know what made her get a beta this time. Someone said no, betas are easy.
It's because of my teacher has a beta.
Oh yeah, her kindergarten teacher has a beta. So
It's our class pet.
Oh, nice. Well, the fact that they live alone, it's easier for
that, and like we forget to feed it sometimes for a couple of days, and it's still in there swimming around.
Even when it's into dirty water for like a month or something, it will still stay alive.
Wow, they're hardy puppies, I tell you.
Yeah, this thing hardy is the correct word for it.
What? I'm sorry, I think you told me, but what color is it?
It's let me go and see the colors. I named it Starburst because I think it was Starburst color.
Oh,
blue.
Starburst color. That's nice.
Did you rip one?
What?
Nothing.
You and Tommy Stiggs aren't allowed around fish. He's the killer of fish too.
Oh, really? I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
know that.
he can't. Oh yeah, he can't keep fish in his house. Every time he says, "Yeah, I'm going for more fish," oh, guys just rip him.
Yeah, I've never heard him say that. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's just he cannot keep a fish alive at all.
ASAP Lissy just said, I'm sorry to, this is breaking news. It's big now. Lots of recipes using Biscoff.
Ah.
What? Please email me some.
I can totally see it as like a substitute for like graham cracker crust of something.
Yeah.
So for like cheesecake or, I mean, any sort of creamy pie thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben says, yeah, again, Sam. She wants a convertible Ferrari like the Crockett had in Miami Vice. I would love that one. That one is called a Daytona or something. The first one he had. He's really not moving?
Ooh.
Really? What color is he? What color is he? Teal, purple, and pink.
Oh, nice.
They float to the top though when they're dead, right? Yeah.
Well, I've had them float kind of in the middle. They don't always go all the way to the top.
We'll drop some food in there real quick. See if he moves.
I did put food in there.
Right now?
No, I put it in when Mom was cleaning.
Well, I put some in earlier too today. We probably fed him like 4 times today.
Oops. He's comatose. He's in a food coma.
He's a hungry little fish.
Is he?
He's the hungriest fish I've ever had.
It's the only fish you've ever had alive.
He's just in a food coma. He'll snap out of it eventually when he digests.
First day I got him, I fed him and he's like, oh no, and ate all the food in like 1 minute.
Ben says maybe he's meditating.
Yeah, he's meditating. That means he's like praying like to God or something.
I'm gonna go check out him now.
Yeah. Go say a prayer for him.
No.
She went like this. She went.
What?
No.
You may be saying a prayer over the toilet bowl.
Oh, yeah. That'd be funny. We're like talking about it, and then now the fish is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't make it. He just.
She's so good with prayer. She'll like she reminds me to pray all the time. She'll be like, Dad, did you pray today? It looks like you haven't prayed today.
Aw.
So funny, yeah. And then she'll pray with me. She likes to start the prayer. She's like, I'll go first, Dad. And the thing she says, just like, I just bawl sometimes. Like the thing she says in prayer, I just can't stand. Like, and I'll look up and Mariana's like watching me because she knows I'm just going to start crying.
Yeah. In another 8 years, just see if she'll be the same.
Yeah, I hope so.
We can only.
My phone's been dead for like a half hour. He's sleeping? Okay.
He just moved a little bit.
Oh, he did? Okay. Okay, honey. He's sleeping.
Well, you know, if his water needs to be cleaned, he may need some more oxygen. He may need some clean water.
Yeah.
That may be a little more pressing than he originally thought.
Yeah. Oh, we jinxed it. We jinxed it by talking about it. He's like, let me go check what color. He's just kind of not moving. He's sleeping, Dad.
Yeah. He's just kind of twitching a little bit. Oopsie.
Holy shite balls.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's funny. Well, what do you got planned for the rest of the evening?
I don't know. And yeah, now I'm awake. Ding, as I have my nap face. Kept zoning off. So
I'm doing laundry all night, like until it's all done. So it could be probably like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, see, I did that a couple weeks ago. I have like a gazillion. I tend to go until I run out of underwear, you know. And once I'm out, then I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta guess I gotta do laundry.
Yeah, either not wear it or do laundry.
Yeah, since I work from home, who's gonna know?
Yeah,
Right? You know.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, I definitely did that a few weeks ago. So I think I may do a little bit with the kitchen. My son is off at a graduation party, I think. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
We went garage sailing today, and we seen lots of graduation party
Oh, I bet.
events going on outside at the different parks. So like we're surrounded by public parks here, and just lots of graduation parties everywhere. I was just
Hazley's what? Got about a week left? Just
yeah,
next week or last?
Yeah. Yep, she's going to Kalispell, Whitefish, Montana next week to spend a week with her cousins and stuff. So Mariana and I will be here all by ourselves. Mariana will tell you I last about a day before I just really start missing Hazley, and I don't like waking up and not having her here.
It's weird, isn't it?
It really sucks, man. And I'm yeah, it's gonna be hard for me. It's always hard.
You get to talk to her.
Yeah, and she told me, she's like, I was like, so I told her, you got to make sure you FaceTime me every night. She's like, of course, Dad, and the morning, because I don't want you crying all day. She knows, man. She knows her dad, man. So good.
That's hilarious. Well, at least she's considerate, right?
Yeah, she's so considerate.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's weird how it changes sometimes. I mean, I remember that age, and then it, my son at like 12 or 13, and it's just like, call me. Yeah, okay, whatever. You just kind of like it just kind of goes in waves or whatever. But he's definitely protective of his mom now.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. He sounds like a good boy. That's good.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm pleased. I think I told you his dad is in Florida again. Right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've I think especially because of that, just being like, I'm always here,
Yep, you're consistent. Yeah, man. It's nuts.
Oh, yeah. What about the riot in LA? I was going to ask you about that. What is going on?
What riot?
Like last night. I saw that all I saw was the headline that said that they were rioting in LA.
I'll text one of my daughters and just ask them what's going on in LA.
What was I doing?
Hey, is there some rioting going on there? Stupid voice text said rioting.
LA immigration protests. Immigration over.
That makes sense.
Yeah, anti-ICE. Yeah, protests.
I have the call-in all set up, ready to go if anybody wanted to call in.
Yeah, anti-ICE protests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They must have had looks like they had a bunch of ICE raids.
Yeah.
And so and it looks like Trump just deployed 2,000 National Guard members.
What's going on in LA right now?
Yeah.
What? I'm going to call my brother. We're going to call him in real time. I'm going to tell him you're live on the air.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording,
Has been forwarded to your voicemail? He'll text me that he's doing something. My brother's wife's sister just passed away from cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Pretty young too. Huh? Not very much longer, honey.
Thank you. I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Okay, well I better go. Oh, it did? Yeah. Put it in the trash.
Why?
Because it'll melt through the cup. It'll melt. It will, honey. I promise. Her Ben and Jerry's melted.
Aw, that's a darn shame from someone who just absolutely loves Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, fire. The car's on fire, and yeah. Yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah. Well,
See
what
happens overnight.
I don't know if my brother didn't answer because I have a new number. I changed my number a few days. Oh, you know that.
Yeah. Yeah, Caddy said it's live all over the news. Yeah, they're running feed from it.
Oh, I might have to do. Yeah. It's probably downtown, I'm guessing. So, I mean,
Well, it's 11. So what? It's 8 there.
It's 8 o'clock there.
So the evening's just getting started.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, just looking at some of the pictures from it, and yep, downtown LA.
Yeah, that's the only place it could really go happen. LA is really a small city. It's the South, but the county is huge. But downtown is pretty small. It's pretty small.
For someone who doesn't know anything about LA, why does that make the most sense that it would be downtown?
Because that's where
Courthouse
the courthouses are. Immigration is downtown.
Okay.
That's where they would protest, and the Hispanics, it's mostly Mexican there. They have a Alvera Street, which is it's like all their culture. There's just a lot of Mexican artwork. It's like a section of LA that's all of them. So my all my family lives right there, but they don't live downtown, so they would be safe. I wouldn't be worried about their safety.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird that my brother's not answering me. I sent him a text hey, this is my new number, and he hasn't texted back or anything.
Could they be traveling or anything because of your sister?
They absolutely could be traveling. Yep, they absolutely could be.
Caddy says it's in Paramount. Does that make
really
sense?
in Paramount? Yeah, that makes sense too. That is outside of downtown though, but still close. Okay, you're always hungry, honey. Don't worry, I'm gonna feed you. I'm always fat.
Yeah, you're like an old grandpa sometimes.
She goes, I'm like an old grandpa sometimes.
Well, I'm old enough to be one.
Oh, but you haven't had dinner yet, huh? No. Just ice cream. Okay. I better go feed her.
I'm starving, Dad. I'm starving. I'm going to melt.
I was going to cover this LA thing and bring in some phone calls.
Maybe after a dinner break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a dinner break.
Okay.
Give me a dinner break.
All right. Well, turn your notifications on because I might be coming live later.
Nom, 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 nom.
Was that you? Go ahead, Julia.
I'm eating my hair.
Nom, 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 nom.
She would say stop because of my lip.
Yeah. She's got a little eczema patch right here from sucking on her hair.
From me eating salt because I love it so much. It tastes like butter sometimes.
Well, if you dip it in your popcorn, I'm sure it does.
She's got this new laugh that she's doing. It's so cute. Now she's trying to hide it.
No, I won't.
That's not your natural laugh.
Say, well, it is now.
Yeah, it is now, huh?
Just turn that stage, you know. Went from childish laugh to. I looked at my son the other day, and he just like went from young adult to truly young man. I mean, like all of a sudden, I looked and went, "Oh, holy Christ! You're like, 20 or something. You're looking like you're a young, out of his teenage years almost." And it's just like you look at your kid, and like all of a sudden, they're just like they gain that little bit older of a face or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's been happening with her too. Just like, what now? She's like a little girl now, like not like a
baby girl, right?
Oh god, it's happening so fast, man. What am I gonna
I know. It just like the other ones, it's gonna go whoop, and you're gonna be marrying her off. Marrying her off. Makes it sound like it's
yeah, like the old days.
Walking her down the aisle, I guess I should say.
Gotta get her dowry ready. Yeah.
Isn't that yeah, well, thank God I got a boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, feed the munchkin.
All right. I'll see you later. Thank you so much, Mac, for doing this with me.
It was great. Yeah, and we'll see you guys next Saturday to talk about the trial and actually all the evidence that's been put on.
Yep. And if maybe closing arguments this week on the Karen retrial.
Yeah, that sounds good too. See what day they come out.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I'm sorry I didn't get to the chat. I would expect turn you guys' notifications on if you're up for the next couple hours. I might come on and do something. I know my wife wanted to do like a relationship talk show maybe tonight too. I don't know. We talked about it this morning. I don't know if she's still down to do something like that. If not, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now, so I better stop.
Feed the child, then decide.
Yeah, I'm gonna go feed her first. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mac. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, wow. Well, this has been a journey. This has been a journey for us, like a journey through from legal troubles to mental health issues, to my own struggles, to your struggles, you sharing your struggles with me. I appreciate you, and thank you for that. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the After the Bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the After the Bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows. My people from recovery to legal trials, hope and unity is what we're speaking about. It's a long way to the promised land. All my people understand that this land is our land. One nation under God, and ain't a thing changed. This ain't that, and ain't this, not the same thing. I'm about to bust a move, this a new groove, kinda like a mission, not the blues brothers. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the After the Bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the After the Bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows. I can feel it, it's a new day. We've got a long way to go. Don't lose faith, don't let the mind games change you. What you see on TV is not always true. You could be anything you want to. I don't know about you, but I am not who I used to be. Not who I used to be. Not who I used to be. No. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the After the Bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows. Good night, good morning to the listeners of the after the bar shows, from the morning mayhem shows, or the random nighttime shows.